New restaurants open in Seattle every week, but which ones are worth your time this summer? Hey, I'm Brandy Fullwood, host of Seattle Eats. On the latest episode, Seattle Times food critic Donovan and I get into a recent closure and the new spots worth the hype. Listen to Seattle Eats on the KUOW app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Costco is a beloved brand. It's famous for its bulk deals and $1.50 hot dogs.
But can shopping there really save you money? I'm Monica Nickelsburg.
And I'm Joshua McNichols. This is Booming.
Today, on this special episode of Booming brought to us by our friends at Control F, how much money are you really saving when you shop at Costco? The surprising ways that wholesale can and can't save you money. That's coming up.
So, Monica. Costco, it's this Northwest staple. The famous origin story is that it was this sort of out-of-the-box way to shop. The core idea being that buying in bulk is cheaper in the long run than buying things individually.
Yeah, and people love Costco because it feels like a good deal, myself included. I mean, I am constantly running out of pouches and seaweed snacks. My kids just burn through them, so it makes sense to buy in bulk.
Pouches, are those like those little astronaut pouches?
No, like pouches, like applesauce and like fruit and vegetable pouches. It's the only way to get servings of fruits and vegetables into toddlers. If you know. But wholesale does also come with the annoying side effect of having to store, a huge thing of toilet paper and 4 extra bottles of
Windex or something.
Windex, yeah. You end up using everything eventually, but it's over the course of months, not weeks.
Right. Okay, but here's the thing. Groceries have been getting more and more expensive, and so I've been wondering, does that make Costco and the bulk way of buying a better option for the average consumer these days? I mean, basically, is Costco actually cheaper?
I wonder that all the time, too. And it's something that our friends at Control F have been thinking a lot about. Control F is a KUOW podcast all about the data behind the news. And they just recently did a deep dive into whether Costco is actually saving you money, or if it just depends on the item or the Costco that you go to.
Okay, well, we'll turn it over to hosts Claire McGrain and Tio Popescu to tell us more.
I'm going to start us off today with a statistic that honestly makes me feel a little bit sick every time I walk into the grocery store. Grocery inflation, the amount that food has increased in price over the past 5 years, is 27%.
Ooh.
Yeah. For comparison, the 5 years before that, it was only 9%. Are you noticing this in your budget, Tia?
Oh, yeah. We actually had to do our budget over again because of this.
Yeah, same. It has been eating up so much more space than it used to, going to the grocery store, getting takeout. There are a few reasons for this. First is the fallout from the COVID pandemic. So all the supply chain stuff that happened, there was huge grocery inflation in 2021, 2022. Then the Russian invasion of Ukraine continued driving prices up. Bird flu in the U.S. a year or two later. So there have been all of these things that drove prices up dramatically in the past 5 years. And prices aren't coming down. They're not even plateauing. They're continuing to grow at a relatively normal level. And this got me curious about where to get the most affordable groceries, which made me think of Costco. In case someone listening has escaped the cultural monolith that is Costco, please explain it.
Okay. How do I explain Costco? Costco is a wholesale warehouse shopping experience. Costco is a whole day adventure. You go there, you can get your prescriptions, you can get a snack, you can sample the wares, you can buy in bulk, get your socks and your shoes and your clothes and your food and your furniture and everything in between. And also, it's run on a membership.
Yes.
There's no one way to describe Costco because Costco is everything.
I had this game with my brother when we were kids where we tried to think of stuff that Costco did not sell.
That's a great way to put it.
The only thing we came up with was live pets. You couldn't get a gerbil at Costco, but you could get most of the things you would need to have a gerbil at Costco. There are other wholesale retailers that work this way. You get a membership, you get access to like bulk buying. The big ones are Sam's Club and BJ's Wholesale in the US. But Costco is kind of the original. And also, we're both Costco people. We live in Seattle. They're based 15 minutes from where I grew up. So it makes sense that we're using Costco as our example. So today, can shopping at Costco actually save you money? We're going to start with some basic numbers that we have to consider in the form of a pop quiz. Tio, how much is the standard annual membership to Costco?
Oh, no.
You're such a Costco person. I assumed you'd know this.
Yeah, but I'm a Costco person via my husband.
Okay.
I'm going to guess that it is $120.
The Gold Star membership, which is like the basic membership, is $65 for the
Ooh,
whole year.
Okay.
You got pretty close on the price of an executive membership.
Well, maybe that's what we have.
Maybe that's what you have.
Hey.
That one is $130 for the year.
Okay.
Do you know about the executive membership cash rebate?
Ooh, no. I'm curious if this has anything to do with like the gas station.
No. Basically, if you're an executive member, you get 2% back on a lot of purchases at Costco, like 2% cash back. Does not include gas. Also does not include alcohol.
Sure.
So one of the things that people bring up, particularly on the Costco subreddit, where I've spent a lot of time over the last few weeks, is balancing out the cost of that executive membership with the rebate. So if you shop there enough, you could make your money back. And in order to do that, you have to spend $6,500 a year at Costco.
Oh, I think you can do that.
So the value proposition kind of these wholesale retailers is you invest money upfront via your membership, and then you save by buying in bulk. And the question I have is, will you make enough money back on the savings to really outweigh the membership? Costco probably kind of knows the answer to this because they track every single purchase, because every purchase is tied to your member ID. So Costco knows every item that I have ever bought at Costco because I had to scan my ID card before I was allowed to check out.
Fascinating. I mean, it totally makes sense. Like, yeah, they can track everything to your member ID, which means they can give you very customized recommendations and everything. I hadn't even thought about that. That's fascinating.
And I think it's one reason why Costco is such a trusted brand, because they typically don't do that. Like, in theory, you could go to Costco and buy pistachios, and then Costco would sell that information to advertisers, and then suddenly you start getting Instagram ads for pistachios.
Right.
But they say that they are not doing that. And they famously do not talk to the media. Like, I've tried to get in touch with them. I reached out via this whole Google form situation they have for journalists. That was weeks ago. I have not heard back. So I'm relying on publicly available data here. And the first thing I did was get in touch with an economist who works on cost of living index data. The cost of living index is basically how much it costs to live in a certain area, and it's based on certain goods. So this economist is on a team who collects price data, analyzes price data, sends it to be kind of aggregated nationally. And I thought he or someone he works with would have Costco data so that I could check if Costco is just cheaper than other grocery stores. But he did not have that data because wholesalers are not included in cost of living measures. There are two reasons for this. One, they are membership based, so you can't walk in off the street and buy a dozen eggs. Yeah. And the cost of living index is only based on like publicly available goods and services. The other thing, though, is that bulk selling makes the math weird. Yes. Right? Like, if you have to buy 5 pounds of apples at Costco, how do you compare that to a single apple that you buy at like a Kroger store, right? Literally, you can't compare apples to apples.
Yeah.
Oh, I was hoping for a better response to that, but okay.
Look, it is not even 10 a.m. and I'm not a morning person. Give me that joke at noon and you got a solid banger from me.
We need to change the time we're taping.
We need to change the time we're taping so that I am laughing appropriately at these jokes. That's the truth here. Also, I need to finish more of my coffee.
So the economists are not collecting this Costco data for me. I did find one place that included Costco in a price comparison, and that was Consumer Reports.
Ooh.
They did their own grocery price survey of 35 places that sell groceries. It's not even necessarily grocery stores because Walmart's in there.
Yeah.
Some of these are everything stores that also sell groceries. So 35, stores in 6 different cities. Do you want to guess the cheapest place for groceries according to this data set?
Ooh, okay. If it's not Costco, I'm curious if they're going to say 7-Eleven, strangely, in some weird, or City Target or something. You can get a good avocado at a City Target.
The answer, the cheapest place for groceries in this data set, is Costco.
Hey,
Yeah.
Costco. I was assuming it was a trick question. I thought you were doing what I do to you.
No.
Right? Okay.
I'm asking you good, honest questions here, Tio. So Costco is the cheapest. BJ's Wholesale was the second cheapest by 0.4%. They were really close.
Wow, yeah.
And for some reason, Consumer Reports decided to not give actual price data and just benchmark everything compared to Walmart's prices, which makes it really confusing. But Costco and another wholesaler are the cheapest. Then kind of middle of the pack are brands like, Safeway, Kroger, Publix. And then there are some stores that are quite a lot more expensive than average, like Albertsons. I was surprised to see how high they were on this list. And right at the top, crowning jewel, most expensive grocery store, according to Consumer Reports, Whole Foods, which doesn't surprise me personally.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So basically, the wholesalers come out looking really good. They are the 2 cheapest places to buy groceries in this set of 35 chains. But this did not satisfy me. First, because they didn't include Seattle, and I don't like to be left out.
Yeah.
And second, because their methodology was not clear, basically. They said they looked at the average price of a basket of groceries, and they were trying to get the same stuff everywhere, but they didn't explain.
How do you handle the apples to apples comparison problem, Claire?
Exactly. So I decided it was time for some on-the-ground data reporting. I drove to 6 Costco's last week.
I remember when you were like, I'm going out into the field.
Don't ask me why. I need to disappear for 4 hours. I also made my mom drive to the 2 Costco's that are closest to her because they were furthest from me. Thank you, research assistant Jane McGrain. So what I did basically was get cost of living index data, which for the rest of this episode, I'm going to call COLI data, from the Council of Community and Economic Research. They collect price data on specific goods from stores all over the country, and then they average it. And it is broken down by region and by item.
Ooh.
So I picked 5 items from this list. And then when I went to all the Costco's in the Seattle metro area, I collected the price at Costco for those items, and I compared them. These are the items in the analysis. 1 pound of ground beef, 1 dozen eggs, 1 pound of bananas, a half gallon of milk, and a box of Kleenex tissues. And I picked the Kleenex because I wanted to do toilet paper, because everybody, when you bring up Costco and affordability, they're like, oh, but the toilet paper, you can get so much toilet paper for $20. But toilet paper wasn't in the COLI data. So I picked the Kleenex instead, and then 4, standard grocery staples. You want to know what I found?
What'd you find?
You'll have to wait until after the break. BRB.
On Sound Politics, we'll walk you through your ballot this election season,
and keep you informed about the issues defining races across the state.
like the millionaire's tax and how it's affecting the state Supreme Court races. I'm Scott Greenstone.
And I'm Libby Dankman. Every week, we break down the big storylines in this Washington and the other one.
So you will be a better informed voter and everyone's favorite party guy.
That's not a guarantee. Listen now on the KUOW app or wherever you get your podcasts.
Before I tell you if Costco was cheaper than my comparison data, I want to get into the apples to apples problem a bit more. So how do you compare the prices of products that you have to buy in bulk to ones that you can only buy individually, right? In some cases, it wasn't hard because bananas and ground beef are priced by the pound. And it might be that you can only buy 6 pounds of ground beef at a time, but I still had a price per pound to compare. But then like for the tissues, the COLI data like has a shopping guide. The guide was like, buy a box of tissues that has between this many and this many tissues in it. And at Costco, they had a different size box, but they had it priced per 100 tissues. And this is all to say I had to do a little bit of math to try and make things line up. And when I did that, I like rounded so that Costco seemed more expensive, just to put them at a bit of a disadvantage.
Sure.
With that caveat, here is what I found. Every single item was cheaper at Costco than in the average cost of living index data. The thing that was closest in price was bananas. They were only 20% cheaper at Costco. The biggest delta was for milk. Milk was 60% cheaper at Costco than in the COLI data. So the price for a half gallon, like on average for the Seattle Met area, was $5.22. At Costco, it was $2.64.
Wow.
So like less than half the price. Of course, here is the catch. You can't buy just half a gallon of milk at Costco. You have to buy 2 gallons at a time. And I live in a household with 4 people, my husband and myself and 2 roommates, and we all share milk. There is no way we would go through 2 gallons of milk before it went bad.
Yeah.
And then you would have just like a gallon of spoiled milk that you had to deal with, right? So this is the quintessential problem with buying in bulk. It might be cheaper per unit, per half gallon, per pound of bananas or whatever. But if you don't use all of it, then you are wasting food and also you are wasting money because you have paid for more than you actually need. After I did this analysis, I also did some research on strategies for maximizing the benefits of wholesaling and minimizing unnecessary spending and waste. It's listicle time, baby.
Yeah. Hit me with the list.
First strategy is pay attention to what you always want on hand. This comes from Jordan Page. She is a content creator, and her content is all about budgeting and like feeding a lot of people on a budget. And she should know because she has 8 kids.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So she is feeding a lot of people.
Yes.
And she sees Costco as a place to really restock on your staples.
What items do you keep on hand to make meals with regularly that you can save money when you buy larger quantities of those items? So it's about restocking your fridge, freezer, pantry. If you're going to save the most money, if you're going to get the most bang for your buck at Costco, you actually want to look at my store. At the left side of the store, the non-food side, that's where you tend to save the most. So when it comes to restocking, it's not just like, oh, I need more rice, but it's like, how are we doing on batteries, laundry detergent, cat food?
So for a lot of people, that's what the toilet paper is, right?
Yep.
I'm going to use toilet paper, obviously. So if I have space to store it, like, may as well.
Yeah.
But the other part of Jordan's advice is keep an eye on the price per unit compared to the other grocery stores where you shop. So it is way cheaper per gallon of milk to shop at Costco. But she pointed out in her area, she lives in Utah, the beans are actually more expensive at Costco than the grocery store. Not by much, but still. So really keep an eye on that price per unit. Strategy number 2, get creative. Think outside the box. And this strategy is really exemplified, I think, by Vinh and Chris Solomon.
Oh, hey.
Yes, 2 journalists in the
Friends of
Seattle
the pod.
area. Yes. They've never been on the pod, but they are friends of us who are on the pod. Ton and Chris are like both bachelors who live alone, but they are BFFs. Like they are travel buddies. They are going out to eat buddies. They split a Costco membership and they go to the warehouse together. They do their shopping and they like barter and trade between themselves, right? So if Chris gets a huge bag of apples, Ton will be like, oh, can I grab a couple of those? And then vice versa. Ton's buying some, protein bars or whatever. And Chris is like, oh, I've been meaning to try those. Can I take a couple and see if I like them? I think this is so clever and just like also a sign that you're really good friends with someone, that you can go to Costco and shop at Costco with them.
It's the friendship test, similar to like IKEA is a relationship test, right?
I would say Costco is also a relationship test.
Yes. Costco just has more flexibility in its test.
Yes. Going to Costco is running a gauntlet. And you have to really know and like someone to do that.
Totally.
I would say a subgenre also of getting creative is use your freezer space. And this is the number one piece of advice I saw on the Costco Reddit, especially for people that live alone or there's only 2 people in your household. Buy the 6 pounds of ground beef and then freeze whatever you don't want to use that week. Obviously, if you don't have a big freezer, that can be tough and etc. Jordan Page, the mom of 8, she also suggested freezing things like chocolate chips or even shredded cheese. Like, get the bulk bag and then put it into smaller baggies so you know, like, this is a cup of cheese, and then it's in the freezer. Huh. Third tip, think beyond the grocery trip. So there are a lot of things that Costco memberships can get you in the store, but also, like, services that you might not realize. I didn't even realize this until I talked to David and Susan Schwartz. They are an older couple, they're empty nesters, and they are Costco super fans. They spent 7 years researching and writing a book called The Joy of Costco. And truly, I wish that anything gave me joy the way that David and Susan love Costco. You know, like, it was so lovely talking to them. They have flown around the world to visit Costco warehouses in 14 countries. I was describing where I live, and Susan was like naming warehouses by number that I live close to. Now, here's the thing about David and Susan. They also live in a 450 square foot apartment in Manhattan.
Okay, so you're touching on a thing I was going to ask about related to space saving, because even with the non-perishables, if you don't have space for these items, you don't have a lot of flexibility to like take advantage of the joys of Costco. But I sense you might be about to prove me wrong on that.
Well, here's the thing. They don't buy the 36 rolls of toilet paper because they do not have space for it, etc. They do say they will buy like other consumables, like they'll buy produce, especially if they're having people over. They'll buy a bunch of their produce at Costco. But the thing that really lit them up was these kind of other stuff. So you get car rentals through Costco. And they don't own a car, so when they go on vacation, they'll rent a car through Costco. They use the Costco pharmacy. The biggest thing for them, though, was a medical purchase.
Susan likes to tell the story of her hearing aids. They cost her $1,500. Comparable hearing aids at a private audiologist would be $7,500 to $10,000.
Plus, if you lose each one, they'll replace each of them for free. That's mind-boggling.
And it all comes down to this thing that they don't charge more than 14% above their cost. And that's because they make, effectively they make their money on their membership fees. So they don't feel they have to, jack up the price on gasoline or on hearing aids or on eggs or on milk.
This 14% number, Costco doesn't mark stuff up more than 14%, is something that I have not gotten Costco to confirm to me, but enough people who have researched or like worked with the company have said this that I feel fairly confident saying that it's true. And that really shows up when you walk around the warehouse and you can see like, oh, this thing seems really cheap. I wonder why. It might be because at other places it is marked up a lot. So it's almost like a barometer for what gets marked up,
Yeah.
Okay, final strategy. And this might be the most important strategy and the hardest one. Resist the impulse buy.
Claire, you're telling me I can buy a bunch of cheese and freeze it into little baggies to presumably just eat a cup at a time.
So something you're going to eat could be an impulse buy. But like last time I was at Costco, I bought this really cute little set of ceramic dishes that I absolutely did not need. Right?
Fair.
20% of the items in the store are treasure hunt items. So they're supposed to be things that you don't walk in wanting, but then you're like, oh, this is so charming or this is so fun. And you buy it anyway, and then you accidentally leave Costco and you've somehow spent $400 even though you just came for your normal groceries. Has this happened to you?
100%. Yeah. I almost almost bought a life-size nutcracker. I was talking to our editor, Phyllis, about this. They pull it out every holiday season, and I had seen it a couple of holidays in a row, and it had been a dark holiday season for me, and I wanted to, really light up my holiday. And I walked by it on my way to just getting produce. And the only thing that stopped me was the fact that I didn't want to have to go get one of the pallet things to stick it on there. If I had seen one of those pallet things just like around, I would have purchased it. It would have come home with me.
And everybody I talked to had a story like this. They know how to psychologically get you. My favorite story that I heard about this, even including your nutcracker one, was from Jordan Page.
I was recently divorced, moved into my new house, starting over with Christmas decorations and all these things. And I walked by it and saw the most beautiful, like sparkly illuminated reindeer set. I walked by those freaking illuminated deer 20 times and I left the store because I was like, I love them. But it was like, $300 or whatever for the set. And I was like, that's just too big of an impulse buy. And I left. I did leave the store. And then I ended up going back the next day because I was like, I can't live without those illuminated deer. And I went back and they're the greatest things ever. And I love them very much. Now I have these deer living in my garage.
I really appreciate that she frames it as they live in the garage. They're not stored there. They live in the garage.
Well, she gets to walk by them and I assume think about the joys of Christmas every time she sees them.
Just give them a nice little pet, pat on the head.
So this is the bottom line about Costco and also any other retailer, right? It's not a magical place where you're going to just wander in and get the best deal and with no planning, but you can take advantage of what is unique about those stores to save a little bit of money if you have the money to invest up front and if you have the money to invest in buying in bulk, right? It's not really an option for someone that is struggling just to get food on the table. But if you have a more comfortable income and food inflation is starting to eat into your budget, shopping at a wholesaler could make the budget go further. But I do want to go back to that membership question that I posed earlier, right? Because Costco is making all kinds of money on their memberships. We know this. When I pay my membership to Costco, am I going to save enough to make that back and maybe even save more? That's one of the things I was curious about. I did this math for my household back when we got a Costco membership. And the way I broke it down was by just looking at toilet paper and paper towels, something which are wildly expensive for what they are, in my personal opinion, and something that everybody has to buy. Not everybody has to buy paper towels, I guess, but most people are buying those things. I looked at how much we were paying at the grocery store by our house where we would get toilet paper and how much toilet paper we would get for that price. And then I figured out how much it would be if we bought toilet paper and also paper towels at Costco instead. The math worked out that over the course of a year, we would save more than $65, the membership fee, if we had a Costco membership. So that's what prompted me to get one. And I think it's worked out. And hopefully we're making some other savings along the way, despite the fact that I'm buying cute little bowls and Christmas decorations that I don't need.
Which you might be doing if you went to your local grocery store, too, because they do cute little bowl displays as well.
They absolutely do. This is the classic store design because you have to walk past everything else to get to the thing you've come in for. So the math of shopping at a wholesaler may truly just be a situation where it's kind of a win-win and the wholesaler is making bank and the customers can save money. I'm curious if you think differently about Costco with all of the information I just spewed at you.
In some ways, yes. So I think there is a real value to Costco. The East Coaster part of me still has some skepticism of that value is really locked into someone who has a car and has the space to store stuff, right? And has enough money to afford to buy in bulk, right? These are kind of 3 things you need in advance in order to really be able to take advantage of the savings of Costco. But if you do have those 3 things, those savings are real and you can take advantage of them really quickly, right? When I lived on the East Coast and didn't have a car and had to walk to groceries, something like Costco would not be realistic, right? The piece of the puzzle that you brought in where their markups are capped in some ways because of the membership fees. And so that provides these savings around like medical devices and some of the other things they offer. It's something I hadn't really considered in that way. And it really does make me realize that there are other values to Costco for folks who can't take part in the kind of like bulk spending parts of things. Like I'm about to jump into the journey of wearing eyeglasses, and maybe I'm going to go do that at Costco now, right? I know folks who are looking at hearing aids, and now suddenly I'm curious to see what that might look like to do at Costco. So yeah, I think suddenly Costco has a whole new sector opened in my mind. Presumably all of that stuff has been in that corner with the hot dogs, and I've just haven't looked at it in a long time.
Yeah, exactly. It's like in the corner where there's like nobody over there, and there's stacks of vitamins, and you're kind of like, I don't know what's going on over there. There's treasures to be had in the weird corners of Costco.
That was Control F, a podcast from KUOW all about the data behind the news. They've done episodes on whether people can still afford a Disney vacation and what the deal is with microplastics.
You can find Control F on the KUOW app or wherever you listen to podcasts. That's it for Booming, and thanks so much for listening.
And we are looking for voices for a future episode on small business owners or individuals who are using AI agents in creative ways. We're not necessarily looking for software companies, but more the everyday entrepreneur who's found a way to enlist AI agents. If that's you, we would love to hear from you. You can leave us a voicemail at 206-221-7158 or email us at booming@kuow.org.
Also, thanks if you're donating to the show. We couldn't do it without you. If you want to donate, go to kuow.org/booming. And thanks.
Our producers are Lucy Soucek and Alec Cowan. Our editor is Carol Smith. I'm Monica Nickelsburg.
I'm Joshua McNichols.
And we'll see you next time.
I'm Chris Morgan, host of The Wild. Over the last 35 years, I've worked in the wildest places on Earth, tracking tigers in Siberia, filming orangutans in Borneo, following humpback whales, migrating jaguars, iridescent hummingbirds, and learning from the people devoted to protecting them. These stories changed how I see the world. I think they'll do the same for you. The Wild with Chris Morgan, available wherever you get your podcasts.